All right, welcome to another episode of Bite-Sized Chemistry. Today we're going to be talking about Charles's Law. Okay. And Charles's Law is a law that describes the volume and the temperature of a gas. Right? This is what's called a direct relationship, meaning that if volume increases, temperature increases, and vice versa. If volume decreases, temperature decreases. Okay? The equation that we use for Charles's law is V1 over T1 equals V2 over T2. Okay, some things we need to be mindful of here is that your volume units need to be the same and your temperature units must be Kelvin. Okay, and I say that because sometimes you're going to need to convert either your temperature or your volume before you can start solving the equation. Fortunately for us, we don't need to do this in the problem. All right, so anytime I see a volume and a temperature, I know I'm doing Charles's law if those are the only two variables I'm given. And so I'm going to write my equation first, and then I'm going to write the variables along the left-hand side. That way, as I'm reading, I can fill in those values. V1, T1, V2, T2. Okay, and I know that in these problems, I'm going to get three of my four variables, and then I just need to um, solve for the missing. So if I read here, a balloon is filled with 3 liters, so that's my V1, at a temperature 300 K, so that's my T1. If the temperature is increased to 450 K, so that's my T2, what is the new volume of the balloon assuming pressure remains constant? All right, so we're looking for volume, the second volume, and we're going to call that missing volume X. So this looks like an algebra problem, okay? Now the easiest way to solve this is to write your equation and then just sub in those values. So for example, if I sub this in, I've got 3 over 300K, or 3 over 300 because it's my V1, T1. I don't know what V2 is, so I'm calling that X. And then T2 is 450, all right? Now, I need to get X by itself, but I don't want to deal with these fractions. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cross multiply. So I'm going to do 450 times 3, and that gets me 1350. And then I'm going to do this color, 300 times X, and that'll get me 300X. Okay, now remember, in order to get X by itself, we want this by itself, we need to do the opposite math operation. So because I multiplied X by 300, to get X by itself, I need to divide by 300, okay? And because this is algebra, whatever I do to one side of my equation, I have to do the other. So 300 minus 3, or 300 divided by 300 is X. So I'm left with X. So now my equation looks like this, 1350 over 300 equals X. And now all I have to do is plug that in my calculator. So 1350 divided by 300 gets me 4.5. So X equals 4.5. Because I'm looking for volume and my first volume was in liters, my second volume needs to be in liters. So V2, my answer is 4.5 liters. And that's it. Come back later for another episode of Bite Size Chemistry. Bye.